we can take pictures from camera using our app. So let's get started. Now first of all, I'll create a layout. Let's just keep it simple, and we will only have an image view and a button in the layout. Let's just call it main activity, and the resource type is layout. Alright, we have it. Now let me create a button, and let's call it take pic. Text is take picture. Let's just give a fixed width and height to image view. Let it be 196 dp wide and 226 dp long. Let's give this ID, let's just call it image. Let's just center it a little bit so it looks a little nice. So I'll give it a gravity center. So now everything is centered. Alright, now let's move to our main activity and create a activity for it. We'll just call it main activity. Alright, now this should extend a compare activity, and in on create we will set the content view to the layout that we had just created. Alright, now let's get the reference to the button. And the image view. Alright, I suppose the ID was the same as this variable name. Yep, it was. And the image view was what was the ID of our image view? Let's just check. Oh, it is image. Why is this not giving me a suggestion? Alright, now we have our button and our image view, and we want to take and we want to open up camera to take picture when the user clicks on the button. So now let's set up a on-click listener. Now when the user clicks on the button, our app should open up the camera to take the picture. Now there's a few lines of code that needs to go in this on-click listener, so I'll just create a new method. That's a pretty long name. Alright, now we have our method, so let's just do what needs to be done in this method. Alright, now first of all we need an intent to open up the camera, so we'll create an intent. So in order for our intent to open up the camera, we need to define the action, and the proper action is we just go to media store and action image capture. That is what our action is. So we have our intent defined. Now we need to check, we don't need to check, but let's it is a good practice to check if there is an app available to handle our intent. So we go if take pic dot resolve activity and get package manager is not equals to null. Sorry, is not equals to null. This means that there is an app that will, that can handle our intent. Now once we are sure that an app can handle the action of our intent, we will proceed. Now we need to create a file where our photo will be stored. So first, let's define a file. Let's call it photo file equals to null. Now we'll try to create a file. So we can say photo file equals to, now this should be a file. We will create a file. Now since it's a few lines of code, I like to create it using a method. So let's say create photo file. Now create this method. Now in this method we will create the file where the photo will be stored. Alright, so first now let's take a name for the file. Now let's name it according to the time that the photo was taken. So we will call it name equals to the format will be alright. So the name of our file will be the current year, month, date, and the time. Now now what do we need to do? Now we just need to create the file with this name. Now we can get the directory to write our file to using this method, get external files directory. But what this returns a directory that is just readable by our app. So if we create a file in this directory, then it will be just accessible by our app. But we don't want that. We want all the apps to access our photo publicly. So now we will not use this method. We will use the method that is something called get external storage public directory. So let's copy it and import it. And this takes a parameter. Now the type is environment dot directory pictures. Alright, now let's get to the actual file creation. Now what is the name? This is the name of our file, and the second is the suffix. The suffix, let's call it .jpeg, .jpg, and finally what is directory? Directory is the directory that we just created. Now we need to put it in a try catch block. So let's do that. If there is an exception, we'll just log the exception. And if it is successfully created, we just return the sorry, where is it? Oh, let's keep it outside, otherwise we will not be able to return it. So we return image. Alright, so now we have successfully created our file. Now using this file we will save our image. So we were here now. Alright, I think we can remove this. I was trying to create the file here itself. Alright, now our temporary file has been created in this photo file variable. Now we need to save our picture in this photo file variable. So what we do is now we create a variable string path to file and get the absolute path. So now we have the path to our file in this variable. Now we check if our photo file is not null. Let's check it before this. So if our file has been successfully created, what we do is we just fire our intent. Get the URI for our photo. Now we have not created a file provider yet, so let's just keep it whatever. We'll create file provider after this step, and the path is. Now what this file provider does is this file provider allows another app to access the files that we have created with the same permissions for that we have temporarily. Now alright, now we just put an extra take pic intent dot and then we just start our activity. And we also need a request code that will return when the activity will, when our intent will return something. So let's just call it one right now. Alright, so now we have everything set up. Now we will create onActivityResult, not create, we will override the method, and it is onActivityResult. Now in this method we will check if the result code is okay. So we just go so if the result was okay, we check if the request code was the one corresponding to our request. Now we had entered 1, so we'll just check if it is 1. Now if this is 1, what we do is we just get a bitmap equals to bitmap factory.decode file. Now what was the name of our file? Where is it? Path. It is actually path to file. Oh, so I've created this a local variable. Let's just make it a global variable. Now we decode path to file, and we just simply set image bitmap to bitmap. That is all. We are done. Now the thing is, in this path to file, in this path the photo should have been saved after this, if our intent was successfully handled by the camera app. Now one more thing is we have not created this file provider and we have not provided the camera permissions. So let's go to manifest and add one more permission. Oh yeah, this permission, right? External storage permission is required for this get external storage public directory, so make sure you have this thing. And also we'll add a camera permission. Now let's just define our activity. Now since we have only one activity, this will be our launcher activity. Oh no, this is category. Category is launcher. Alright, now let's define our file provider. We say provider. That's how it is let's say just com.codeCity.cameraAndroid.fileProvider. Name is what was the actual name? So there are no solutions. We just go here and the name is Android support v4 content file provider. Now this is included in the v4 support library. Alright, now let's close it. Let's make exported equals to false and grant URL permissions to true. Now this exported equals to false means that our file provider is not publicly accessible, and grant URL permissions equals to true means that our files can be accessible by other apps temporarily with the same permissions that our app has. Now we also need to add a metadata, and we need to define the path of our directory here. We will create it in just a minute. And Android resources, the name is support.file provider paths. Now in resource we actually need to define the XML file that contains our path. So we create XML resource. Now here remove this preference screen to paths, and we give the path to an external directory name. Let's just call the name Code City Images, and let's give the path storage. Alright, now everything is ready. Now one thing that we still need to do is ask for permissions, because if our app is running on Android Marshmallow or over that version, we need to ask for permission. So first of all, we check if the SDK, the build version, is greater than or equal to 23, and if so, we request permissions. Let's give this a request code of 2, and the permission is camera and write to external storage. Alright, so now we have requested the permissions too, and I think our app is ready. So yeah, now I'll just run this in my phone and check if everything is running good. Just connecting my phone to my PC. Alright, let's run this thing. Alright, let's give the permissions, and here we go. Okay, there's an error. What did I do? What did I do? Let's just check the errors. Oh, I messed up the authority. So the authority is, what was the authority? Okay, so this is the authority. Alright, now let's run the app again. Hopefully everything will work fine this time. Alright, it crashed again. Damn. Click. Okay, so I finally figured out the error. It is actually in this file paths. So this path is not correct. If we give path in this way, this is actually the full path. So if we do this, we have to define full path. Now this is not actually a good practice. So we just do path, and we just remove this, and it is pictures. The path is pictures because it is defined. It will be saved in our pictures directory. Alright, now finally the app should be running. Alright. Alright, the app is up. Now just click on this take picture with camera. Okay, and the picture is displayed in our text view, I mean in our image view. So let's check where it is stored. See, it is stored in this pictures directory. Alright, this will be it for this tutorial, guys. Thank you for staying with me, and if this helped you, give a like, thumbs up, subscribe or share. See you next time.